let's go into Reddit,
Oh,
which Reddit has been basically just talking about the patch, right? Just
yeah.
permanently. So usually we do this little segment where we talk about, hey, what have people been complaining about the game on Reddit, which is kind of like this fun little topic where it's like, hey, people are just complaining about gun, people are complaining about this hero, people are complaining about these abilities. But honestly, right now Reddit is basically just all patch. Like
It's all patch
everybody is
memes.
going
Yeah.
crazy. It's all patch memes. The official Deadlock Discord is also pretty much just like going insane for the patch. So we said earlier at the beginning of the video, the patch is probably not this week, which is going to make people even more kind of ballistic. I don't want to say the patch is not this week definitively, but based on what Yoshi said,
It's
I
looking
would
like
say
it's
that
not this week. Like I would,
exactly.
I'd
Yeah,
put my stocks in following weeks.
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about a little bit about this update and what kind of like Reddit has been expecting. So the first thing that I'll say is a lot of people are consistently trying to kind of keep up with the leaks, look at what's coming, etc., and that's completely reasonable, completely understandable, right? You want to kind of stay up to date and you want to get excited. Like people love Deadlock, so people want to get excited about this update. People want to see what's coming. Now the only thing that I'll say is like Valve has been more communicative with this update, or not with this update, but with Deadlock that they have been with other games. And like Yoshi even said that he's going to let us know a couple days before they release the update. So stop speculating, or like not stop speculating. Feel free to continue if you want, but like there's no need to like follow leaks to try to get like the accurate release date or whatever. Like literally they will tell us, or he said they will tell us a few days before. So that's the first thing. Now second thing is I've heard some people say, hey, this patch is going to be like open beta. It's going to be the biggest patch ever, blah, 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 blah. And, it being the biggest patch ever would make sense given that it's been also the longest patch ever in terms of time between patches. So that's reasonable. As far as it being open beta, let's just say that if it were open beta, I would be very surprised.
I agree.
Just because of how many things are left in the game. Like if you look at how many things are still placeholder assets in the game, like they would have had to do an insane amount of work to get to open beta. And that's not even considering the things that need to come with open beta, which are like player retention tools, right?
Yeah.
So like not only do you need more heroes, like not only do you need to like remodel a bunch of heroes, not only is the jungle all placeholder assets, a bunch of buildings are placeholder assets, like the walkers, the guardians, like all these things are probably placeholder assets, the base. And to me that's just not realistic. So if you thought this update, if you think this update is going to be open beta, I mean hold on to your copium, but I would be very, very surprised if this update was open beta.
I completely agree. I actually think logistically it's just not a good idea to ship open beta with a massive patch because you're bound to have problems. Like there's so many things that could go wrong when you're launching such a massive patch. It could be with hero balance, it could be with bugs and stuff in the game that like couldn't have been tested just based on pure numbers. Like there's a lot of things that could go wrong. And so to me it like it doesn't make sense to launch open beta with like what is basically the largest patch in the last 6 months. Like if you're gonna do it, it would come afterward. Like you'd ship the patch, you do like all the polishing on it, and then once everything feels good, do like a couple, like launch it with a smaller patch that's really just like balancing or something, or with like you said, the player retention tools, because that stuff has to be in the game. You can't ship the game without a draft. You can't ship the game without hero progression. You can't ship the game without monetization. There's a bunch of stuff that has to be in the game for it to be open beta, and we've talked about that. Like it's not just gonna be released because they're adding like just a couple like major things, like whatever it is that they end up doing. But
Yeah.
if that was the case, it would have come out with the last 6 hero update or something, right? Like it just doesn't really make sense. Like that was one of the biggest updates we've ever gotten, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done.
I mean, that was the biggest update we've ever gotten. Every update that we get, and it's starting to get a little clickbaity, but it's true. It's like every big update that we get is the biggest update we've ever gotten. Like they've kind of outdone themselves every update, right? So we went from the 4 lane to the 3 lanes. That was a massive update,
Huge.
obviously like changing fundamentally the game. No more solo lanes, all lanes are duos. There's only 3 lanes. The map has had so many changes, so that's massive. Then the entire item system gets reworked. All the items get new art. Like there's so many things that got changed in that update. Like the balance of items completely got changed. And after that, we get 6 new heroes and, kind of like a huge like visual rework to the map. Like a lot of areas of the map got a massive, kind of like facelift, so to
Yeah.
speak. The lighting got a bunch of
The
changes,
lighting
like
was
the
massive.
shading.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the game actually started looking like a more like an actual game. Like if you look at old footage now, it looks like super dated. Um and even though it's only been like 6 months, really, like you
Yeah.
looked
Yeah.
like 6 months ago and you're like, wow, that looks really bad, compared to what we have. um and now, if they release another big update, it might be the biggest update again. And you know that to me shows that they're definitely on a trajectory. And now the question begs, like, after this update, are we going to have to wait even longer for the next update? Like, if it's an even bigger update again? Because right now we're on day, I believe, I've been counting the days, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I think we're on day 148 since the last major update, something like that. I would need to check my stream title. That's how I keep track. But we're gonna reach over 150 days without the major update, which that's a pretty long time for a game in deadlock state, in playtest. It's not like this is a fully, finished live service game that has a bunch of like things to keep players playing. There's kind of like nothing to keep players. It's actually kind of a miracle that players are still playing.
That's like such a testament to how good the game is, right? Because if you looked at any other game that has zero player retention tools and is like a closed beta, uh, their player counts
Yeah.
are like maybe in the low thousands. And then you just look at Deadlock and it's still in like the top 10 most played games on Steam somehow. And that to me is absolutely wild. Like any other studio in the world would be so stoked to have the player count that Deadlock does. And we as a community are like, man, there's no players in this game. It's so ridiculous. And then you have like the people be like, oh, it's a dead game. And it's like, what is wrong with you guys? Like this game is doing great.
Sure.
We're in closed beta. We have a super active, healthy community, and like everyone is looking forward to, when the game comes out. And like we'll have to be patient, Valve is
Yeah.
Valve is going to release the game when they think it's ready, and not like a minute sooner. Like they're not gonna jump the gun on this. They've jumped the gun on some other games that they've released, and I think they've learned a lot from potentially less successful launches of a couple games. But this is definitely
Yeah.
like their pride and joy. Like they're not gonna mess this up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very obvious that this is kind of Valve's like favorite child, etc. We've talked about this in other podcasts, I believe. So I'm not going to repeat it too much, but like they care a lot. What I'll say is a small correction is that right now, if you look at Steam charts, Deadlock is number 70 in daily active users. So not top 10, not anywhere close to top 10, but still very good. Still very good. Like it's not bad.
Okay.
Especially for the state that it's in, right? Like right now we're at 26,000
Oh wow, it's dropped a little
concurrent
bit.
player
Okay.
peak in 24 in 24 hours. Yeah, at its peak, like after the big hero update, it was like 60K. Now that might be top 10, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's
It
that's that's
doesn't
probably
really
what I
matter
was looking
much.
at last time I checked. So that would make sense.
Yeah, so we can talk about player count a little bit, because I think this is something that does interest some people regarding the update. Is like, oh yeah, how many players is this update going to bring, right? And I think it's interesting to look at, because if you look, I'm looking at the numbers right now in front of me. So to give you guys an idea, in July 2025, the amount of